Thanks very much, Coach. Let's celebrate the fact the NFL Countdown hits double digits tomorrow with our Brady Quinn and Ryan Harris, our two Notre Dame guys here to talk a little football. Guys, we love the countdown, but I wanted to ask you, when you guys were active players, did you even know how far out you were? What was the timeline like for you in terms of counting down to the season?
No, for me, it was always just focusing on that day, whatever that was, whether it was an OTA at this time of year or as you head into mini camps. Probably was a new install, maybe trying to work on some chemistry with a new wide receiver as someone just got to the team. You've got blinders on. You're like a big Clydesdale that they take around in New York and Manhattan, and you're just sitting there focused on the task ahead of you. So I don't know, maybe for an offensive lineman like Big Hair or Big Ryan, it was different, but for me, it was just blinders on like a big old Clydesdale.
Well, the big countdown for players for me was always, when does training camp start? As a player, you can't even necessarily look at the start of the season. You have to, as Brady was saying, get to OTAs, figure out what's new and different, and then you have to survive training camp. And yes, it's been easier than in years past with some of the changes the NFL made. But if you're a player, yes, 100 days to the season, but that means you're about 70 days away from really putting on some pads and trying to establish yourself, improve yourself again in the NFL.
All right, so let's get into some topics here. Brady has some big questions coming into the 2023 season, the first of which is concerning the New York Jets.
Yeah, the question is, does Aaron Rodgers help the New York Jets soar? And I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. Yes, he does. Okay. And think about this stat, okay? Since Aaron Rodgers took over as a starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, but his very first year, from that point to now this upcoming season, he's only thrown double-digit interceptions 3 times. If you look at New York Jets starting quarterbacks since Aaron Rodgers came into the league and started playing games, every single season, their starting quarterbacks have amounted to double-digit interceptions. Turnovers have killed this team. They were the top half last year. It's been the Achilles heel for quite some time now. He is going to be the best quarterback the New York Jets have ever had.
Wow.
And I know that throws Joe Namath into the conversation, a Hall of Famer. But when you talk about this high-level quarterback play that Aaron Rodgers is capable of, he's only a year removed from being an MVP of the league. With this roster, with the talent they have, I think he's in for a big year. I think the Jets are getting ready to soar.
Wow. Okay.
I agree, and I'll tell you, and you mentioned the roster, Brady. A lot of this is going to do with that roster, skill positions and defense, because if you're the Jets, not only do you have Aaron Rodgers, but you have Allen Lazard. You also got a sneaky good wide receiver and world champion Mecole Hardman. You got Randall Cobb back. And so they've been able to put together a roster. But then you have the Jets defense, somehow lost in all of this. They gave up the 4th fewest points and yards last season, meaning that Aaron Rodgers will have a shorter field to work with every time he touches the ball, and he doesn't have to score as many points to win games. Those two factors, give me Aaron Rodgers and these Jets soaring this year.
Okay, the San Francisco 49ers are second favorites to win the Super Bowl as of today. What concerns do you have about this Niners team?
Well, will the 49ers strike gold with their quarterback this season? See what I did there?
It's going to be like that, is that?
Look, we've got a big question mark at the quarterback spot for the 49ers. Will Brock Purdy be ready for camp in time, or will it be Sam Darnold, or will it be Trey Lance, right? So you've got a lot of different question marks. Here's what we know. The track record for Kyle Shanahan working with whatever quarterback that is usually works out, and the quarterback's not going to have to do it all. When you look at Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, Deebo Samuel, the way this offense continually operates and gets the ball to the playmakers like guys like George Kittle, and on top of that, yes, you lose D'Amico Ryans as defensive coordinator, but you bring in Steve Wilks, who did a hell of a job at the end of the season last year with the Carolina Panthers. So I think he'll be just fine. So will they strike gold? I think so. That's been the track record. And by the way, Ryan, they play in a somewhat easy division when you look at the win-loss totals for both the Arizona Cardinals, who are in rebuild mode, and then throw in the LA Rams, who are in rebuild mode, both sitting around 4.5, 5.5 respectively. It seems like kind of an easy division to win some games, and maybe you're getting to double-digit wins and you're a playoff team.
Absolutely. 4 wins in the division. Then you add the other pieces around this offense for the San Francisco 49ers. Still a good defense. But I'm with you, Brady. I think the 49ers actually strike gold twice on quarterbacks. Look, Trey Lance beat out Brock Purdy for that number 2 spot last year. Yes, Brock Purdy was amazing in the playoffs, a 5-0 record, a Cinderella story, right? But you look at what Trey Lance has done this offseason. He's worked on his throwing mechanics, spent time with Patrick Mahomes in the offseason, asked Patrick Mahomes what he does in the season. I wouldn't be surprised if Trey Lance is the starter out the gate and for the season, because you're also, if you're the 49ers, you have to make a decision with one of these two quarterbacks. Who's your guy moving forward for the future? And I really, give me the long odds on Trey Lance, but I think the 49ers strike gold twice. Brady and I have played in that West Coast offense. It's very favorable to quarterbacks. I like the 49ers being successful this year.
They played quarterback by committee because they had to last year because of all the injuries that they had. But, I mean, Brady, could this be a quarterback by committee with two healthy starters, depending on how things go here?
I mean, potentially. I mean, you've got the insurance policy there in Sam Darnold, who I think has still a ton of upside and obviously experience as well. People have kind of written him off after his time with the New York Jets. You go look at him play at the end of last season, though, played some good football for the Carolina Panthers. That wasn't an easy spot for him to be in. And so now he's going to be revived in a system where he's got the skill set to perform and play well. You know, Ryan talked a lot about Trey Lance working on his throwing motion, working throughout the course of this offseason, not only to get healthy, but to elevate his game. He's another player that oozes with upside and potential. And I think the thing that bodes well for both of them, look, if they're all healthy, Brock Purdy's probably the guy going into the season. But it's Kyle Shanahan. It's his play calling ability. It's their ability to be able to find ways of getting to the runs that they want to execute and be efficient, and then set up easy pass plays for any quarterback within this offense and play to their strengths. So it doesn't matter which one it is, in my opinion. I think they will strike gold with this roster and Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, let's move over to you're pondering the future of the odd man out in San Francisco, who, of course, is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I mean, my question for it is, does the gamble on Jimmy Garoppolo with the Raiders pay off in Las Vegas?
You're good at this.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be tough to see it pay off for this reason. We saw for quite a period of time now that the contract wasn't finalized, and for good reason. He still hasn't passed a physical. We now learn to find out that he's had surgery. That surgery is on a Liz Frank. I've been through a Liz Frank. I went through almost this exact same scenario where we thought we could cast it. We thought we could then go in a walking boot and through crutches, see if it would heal on its own. Didn't work out that way. Then you have to go have surgery, get some metal put in your foot. That's going to take quite a period of time to come back from. And the way they structure this contract, they don't really owe him anything if they want to move on or if he can't pass that physical. Then it leads you to think, well, who is going to be their quarterback for the future? So with so many question marks, the way this is all transpired, I don't know. I don't think the luck is really on the side of the Las Vegas Raiders here, Ryan.
I do think there's luck on the Raiders side. It has nothing to do with Jimmy Garoppolo's foot, though, because you're absolutely right. Feet are tough to handle. Ask Yao Ming how his feet are doing, right? Bad feet can get you out of the league. But they also have the leading rusher in the NFL in Josh Jacobs. You ask any quarterback who their favorite friend is, they'll tell you a run game. And Josh Jacobs only on a one-year deal, so he wants to produce to get some long-term options as a contract. I think that he's going to be the best running back that Jimmy Garoppolo has ever played with in his career. And you add an offense that Jimmy Garoppolo is very familiar with, I think they will get lucky. Now, there are other problems with the Raiders. They lost, remember, 4 games with double-digit leads at halftime last year. So they've got some work cut out for them. The rest of the roster lost some key pieces. But I think that run games makes Jimmy G as lucky as he's ever been.
You know, some quarterbacks may call the running back their best friend. I would personally call my left tackle my best friend. So that's just me.
Absolutely.
That's just me.
Well, you're smart. You know, you went to Notre Dame. What are you going to do?
Well, and Garoppolo has admitted that he's risking permanent disability in the foot by continuing to play football. So obviously,
well, that's standard language within it. Trust me. I mean, you'll see stuff like, for example, if he re-injures the foot, he's not going to get paid. If he has an injury as a result of that injury to the foot, he won't get paid. There's all sorts of language within the contract agreement when you take out a waiver that it's a bad deal for players. But when you suffer injuries like this and you've got an offer, you've got to really weigh the fact is it going to get better than this? Or is this the best offer he's got at this point in time, not only to play, but in a system that he knows, with a wide receiver like Devonta Adams, and to Ryan's point, a running back like Josh Jacobs. So with all those things, you have to take that bet that I will be willing to stay healthy enough to be able to make it through, even though that hasn't been a track record for Jimmy Garoppolo.
Gamble for Vegas, gamble for Garoppolo. Brian Hoyer, QB2 with the Raiders at this point in time. Lastly, that AFC West. I mean, looking at that, it's going to be tough, Brady.
It will be tough. And the question really is, can Sean Payton help the Broncos climb the mountain that is the AFC West?
Hit the dusty trail, as it were.
In this case, it would be the Rocky Mountains there, Ryan. I'm actually more bullish and betting on this. And for this reason, look, you look at his track record with the New Orleans Saints and how fast he was able to build up that roster to be a Super Bowl winner. It was year 4. I think the Denver Broncos are more ready to compete right now. You look at Russell Wilson, looks like he's lost 20 pounds. He looks unbelievable. He's moving better. He looks better. I'm sure there was a sense of urgency, too, with now Sean Payton being there and putting a little more pressure on him. But to me, they've got all the talent. It's just about an offensive mind and a head coach who's seen it and done it before and able to mold this team into being a contender. And I do think I was much more bullish on this team last year. I was dead wrong, way off. This year, though, I'm back on the Broncos bandwagon. I do think Sean Payton's going to be that winning difference for them, Ryan.
Well, I've already talked to players, and they have said they love not only what Coach Payton has talked to them about on the field, the plays they're running, but also the path that he's putting them on to win. So players are already bought in. Coach Payton has already changed the culture. And then health is going to be a big key here for the Broncos as well. They're getting a healthy left tackle in Garrett Bowles, healthy possession receiver in Tim Patrick, and then one of the best running backs in the NFL in Javonte Williams is going to be healthy for the start of the season or near the start of the season. So you combine some discipline, some urgency, an old school head football coach, some key additions on the offensive line with Mike McGlinchey and Ben Powers. This team has the goods, as Brady said, for everyone to be bullish and to really attack that division, which they have drastically failed in. Lost 7 straight to the Raiders and haven't beat the Chiefs since I played on the team in 2015. Woo! Wow.
All right, that concludes B.Q.s. Hey,
that was good. Well done.
I like it.
Producer Jack giving us that one. Ryan Harris, Brady Quinn answering some of the big questions as we sit 100 days from Lions Chiefs to open the 2023 season.